For today's yin practice, we're going to take time to unwind. Myofascial release is sometimes referred to as the process of myofascial unwinding. So that letting go can often happen in a spiral, multiplanar way. And we'll explore through this yin practice of holding poses for prolonged periods that time and gravity are the primary drivers for unwinding. So for today's practice, you will need a blanket and a pillow. So to begin, take your blanket and unfold it. So last week we worked on expanding our boundaries by improving our mobility in the lateral direction. And so we'll use that again this week as we explore the rotation. So that being said, we're probably going to extend beyond the width of the mat. So I have a nice wide mat, but take your blanket so that it goes beyond the width of the mat. And let us begin in a wide-legged child's pose. To find that position, take the toes together, sitting on your heels, and walk your knees out as far as you can. And then now let yourself just come forward gently, no pushing, and let your head rest to your hands. And once you rest here, maybe you'll find that you can slide your knees out just a little bit more. But notice if there's a tendency to want to pop your hips up towards the sky. Try not to come into that puppy dog shape, but keep the hips sitting back on the heels. And you may start to feel a tugging sensation in the inner thighs. Make sure that it's sustainable. And just let yourself sink in for a moment, feeling the heaviness of the body. So gravity, giving the body weight. Drop into the weight of the bones. Taking a big breath in and sighing it out. Unwinding the breath and therefore unwinding the nervous system and the mind. So as we slow the body, we slow the breath, and the mind will follow. And now let's take our right hand, press the right hand into the floor, and like thread the needle, take your left hand underneath, but walk your left shoulder as close to the right knee as you can. And then drop the outside of the left shoulder towards the floor, the left side of the head towards the floor. And then think about just letting your hips drop back again. Finding this edge, not forcing too much, just coming to that first point of resistance. If you go too far, the body is going to start to fight. So create a fight or flight or a sympathetic response. So we want this to be sustainable. So find an edge that you can maintain. And time and gravity will allow that to start to change and evolve. So the left side of your head may also come to the floor. And then the right arm could come up overhead. Or maybe you take the right arm into a half bind behind the back, continuing to work with that rotational freedom of the shoulder that we touched into last class. And I like to take my hand into the seam of my pants. So holding the top of my pants so that I have something to ground into. And then now see if you can just let go. Remembering the drivers of gravity and time to assist us in our unwinding and our letting go. letting the breath breathe you. With each exhalation, allowing yourself to become a little bit more heavy, to find the support of the floor beneath you. Allowing any tension to drain off of you. Sensing this gentle ringing. So when we create an unwinding or a ringing action in the body, there'll be places of compression and places of tension. So notice in the body where you feel tension of stretch. Notice in the body where you feel sensations of compression. Sensing both tension and compression at the same time, can you allow those sensations to be there just as they are? Taking one more round of breath. Exhaling with a big sigh. And then removing the right arm from either overhead or behind the back. Press into the right hands. Slide the left arm out, coming right into your counter pose, going the other direction. So left hand comes to the floor. Right shoulder walks towards the left knee, as if someone's pulling your left arm out towards the left side. Allow the outside of the right arm to become heavy, the right side of the head to rest on the floor. Can you sit your hips back towards your heels just a little bit more? And then taking the left hand, sliding it along the back of your pants towards the crease of the right hip. You can grab on to ground the right arm if that feels right. First, returning to the felt sense of heaviness, feeling gravity assist in connecting you to the support of the earth. Let go of efforting and feel gravity pulling you down. Connecting to gravity and then allowing time to do the unwinding. Feel the unwinding in the body. Sensing and letting go with each coming exhalation. Resting in stillness, allowing time to do the work. Observing the sensations in the body, sensing tension, sensing compression. Letting both be present. Being attentive to what you're sensing. Allowing the micro movements of the body to let the pose evolve. So maybe the shoulders move slightly or the knees move slightly. Finding that just right edge of sensation. So working in our end range to improve our capacity for movement. Resting here. Maybe feeling the edge evolve. Feeling the sensations change. Letting time do the unwinding. Waiting for a big sigh of letting go. Using that exhalation as a sign of myofascial release. A sense of feeling complete. Then remove your left hand, bring it to the earth. Press your left hand to the floor, make your way back to center, hands on the floor, slowly and gently walk your knees together and just let the forehead come to the floor, the arms come behind you. Rest for a moment in a closed knee child's pose. So finding the edge and then returning to center. And then moving into a little integration. So coming to sit the wide way on your mat, bring your feet out in front of you. So we're in this wide knee position still. Feet are flat on the floor. And now we'll move through isolation again and a little bit of strength. So we'll find movement and then find stillness. So as we talked about in our last class together, we talked about reciprocity of movement. So moving from one side to the other and then resting in the center. We'll do the same thing here. So we'll find rotation in the hip. The left hip is going to rotate into external rotation as the right hip comes into internal rotation, finding a deer posture on this side. And then engaging the midline. So finding the weight-bearing joints of the spine, which are the spinal bodies, right where the discs lie. Keeping the weight over the front portion of the spine. Keep the spine upright and then move from one side to the next. If you need a little help, hands can come behind you, giving you some external support. Finding that balance between external support and then internal support, moving side to side. Finding movement, and then we'll rest into stillness. One more time towards each side. Feeling the rotation of the spine on a stable hip. You may even start to look behind you. So as you come to the other side, knees ground, external rotation, internal rotation, and then rotating on a stable base. Feel the movement through the bodies of each vertebrae. Gaze can come behind. And then one more time, we'll pause on the left in this deer shape, and then find your pillow. This will bring us into a flexion rotation hold, yin posture. So it's a modification of pigeon, or a different variation of some of the pigeon sensations. So this front leg is going to be in external rotation. This back leg is going to be in internal rotation. And again, just feel the movement of the pelvis over the hips, rotating and driving the right hip forward, and then sitting back into it. And then we'll fold over our pillow. So pillow is great here because you can hug it. You could also use a bolster if you have one. So anchoring the legs, anchoring the pelvis, and we'll create a rotation to the left. So if you have the movement, the right ear can come towards your pillow and the right arm can thread underneath. So just bring your hands to the floor to begin. Feel the front of your spine. As you exhale, can you feel each of the spinal segments rotate over one another? You may even decide that hugging your pillow feels nice. Forearms might come to the floor first before you find the pillow. Feel the rotation in each of the 5 lumbar vertebrae, rotating on a stable sacrum and pelvis. Then start to feel the rotation in the rib cage and thoracic spine, all 12 segments. Find that just right support. So notice if you need another pillow. If you're struggling to meet the support beneath you, raise the ground up so that you can drop into that support. And then feel the rotation to the left of all 7 cervical segments. Maybe tuck the chin towards the throat a little bit, getting the head right on axis, and then rotating. If this doesn't feel good, rotating to the head to the left, notice what it feels like to do a counter rotation in the neck and rotating the head to the right. Can you keep the rib cage rotating to the left while the head rotates to the right? Neither is better than the other. Notice what the body is asking for right now in this moment. If it feels nice, give your pillow a good hug, letting yourself feel supported, allowing the body to sense support. And through that felt sense of support, allowing the body to unwind. And then as you're ready, coming back up to center, pushing up with your hands, just pausing with the spine upright. Maybe feeling the rush of sensation through the left leg as you relieve that compression, bringing new oxygen, new blood supply. In Yin, we work with the compression and tension to open and flush the meridians. So now moving from stillness back into movement. And in this way, building resilience and strength in the body, feel the body come back into that side-to-side rotation. Keeping the weight in the front of the spine along the weight-bearing portion or the vertebral bodies. And then feeling the freedom of movement in the hips. Hips moving in opposite rotations. Sensing one, and then sensing the other. Coming to the other side, so right side in front now. Feel the left pelvis now as a driver, rotating the pelvis forward, and then just sitting back. Feeling that slouching and then pressing the sit bones into the floor, stabilizing through the pelvis, feeling how you rotate over a stable base. And then moving into a flexion, rotation. Take your hands to the floor for a little bit of support. Feel the breath ascend up the front of the spine. And then exhale, spiral from the 5 lumbar segments. Maybe pause, bring the awareness back to the front of the spine again. Exhale, start to feel yourself spiral through the thoracic segments. Maybe the forearms come to the floor. With each exhalation, feel yourself move further towards the earth, finding the prop that's right for you, hugging your pillow, and then allowing that rotation to travel up through the neck, up to the head, as the left ear comes and rests on your prop. You can use your block, you can use 2 pillows, you can use a bolster, you can use blankets. Just find whatever support brings the floor up to meet you. And then in this variation, you'll really feel how time and gravity allow that unwinding to continue to occur. With each exhalation, allow yourself to drop into your support, letting the left knee, lower leg and foot continue to stay heavy on the floor. Maybe the head stays rotated to the right, or see what a counter rotation in the head feels if you rotate your head to the left. How can you allow yourself to drop with the help of gravity? Can you sense the weight of your body resting into the earth? Succumb to that force of gravity, to the weight and the heaviness in your bones. Pausing here for 3 more breaths or so. Allowing the pose to change with time, feeling each new edge, giving yourself freedom to explore these new ranges of motion, feeling supported so that you feel safe, secure, and at ease. Sensing the constantly changing sensations. Let go completely, feeling this fully. And then pressing into your hands. Allow the spine to come back to an upright posture. Pause. Feel the height. Feel the stability of the spine. Reorienting yourself to midline. And from this place of center, rotating back to the initial side to the left. And this time, placing your hands on the floor and allowing your legs to come out behind you so you come down onto your belly. And now keep your pillow nearby. Keep your pillow on your left side as you come to your belly. And then just rest. Noticing how it feels to let go completely. Tapping back into the internal resource of support. So that we can continue this exploration of rotation. And we're going to come into a variation of a supine twist that you've done several times before, but we're going to come at it from a different direction. So we'll anchor the pelvis again. Like we've been talking, stabilizing the pelvis and unwinding the spine and opening the spine on top of a stable base. So to do that, take the right leg up into 90 degrees. And then now, using the same thread the needle variation that we did before, thread the left arm underneath the right, bringing your left shoulder to the floor. Even slide the bottom arm forward. And now with the pelvis staying stable, with this bottom shoulder staying stable, we'll have a little reminiscence of what we did last class, sliding our top arm across the bottom, across the chest, and then rotating back. And you'll find, if I keep this knee on the floor, if I keep the pelvis locked in place, I can't really get my arm to the floor. And this is where you find your pillow so that it supports behind your arm, so that you can rest into the support of the pillow behind you. Just finding that first edge. And by bringing up the ground to meet you with the prop, it will allow you to drop into it a little bit more. Notice if you're hyperextending the elbow, so keep the elbow soft. Notice if the shoulder is protruding forward or straining back. Keep the shoulder soft. And just allow yourself to drop into the support behind you. So make sure you prop yourself up nicely. And then now breathe into the back ribs on the right. Try to fill the space in the rib cage right where the body and your pillow meet. And then exhale and try to sink in just a little bit more. And can you sense the breath spiraling up every segment of the spine? Notice if there's any places it gets stuck. At those levels, pause there and wring out the body from the inside out. Working your way up. Stopping at any place of sensation and any place maybe that lacks sensation. That has a little what we call sensory amnesia, that's offline. So with the attention, bringing awareness back into the felt sense of the body so that we can find those areas and move with more awareness from them, allowing the body to integrate all of the parts into the whole. Noticing if as the body lets go, you need to move the pillow away from you. So if you move it out towards the right hand, it will allow you to drop back a little bit more, finding the new limit or the new edge of movements. If there's any discomfort in the SI joint or the back, you might be better off keeping this hip at neutral, so putting a block or a pillow underneath the knee. So just notice what the body is feeling and meet yourself right where you are so that you have that sense of foundation, of stability, so that you can be curious and explore these new movements. Take one more breath in. And then exhale, let the arm just sweep down by your side, and it pulls the right knee down, pulls you back onto your belly. Unthread the left arm. Let yourself just rest on your belly for a moment, forehead on your hands. Observing the resonance or the echo of this pose. Just notice what you feel. Ride that wave of sensation. And in observing that and listening to that and allowing for it, it will allow the body to integrate all of the benefits. So these periodic rests between postures are just as important. They are truly the completion of the posture itself. And then when you're ready to begin again, once the breath has returned to normal, once any sensation has subsided and you're resting into ease, take the left knee up out to the side, so knee at hip height, instep of the left foot on the floor, hip and knee at 90. Then thread the right arm underneath the left, reaching like someone's pulling the right arm. Bring the outside of the right shoulder to the floor. And then take your pillow behind you, maybe even like right behind the shoulder blade to begin. And then remembering this sliding, this book opener action from our last class together, slide your left arm across the right, turning from the navel, from the ribs, from the chest bone, and then letting the arm unfurl back behind you. Softening the elbow so that you're not hyperextending the elbow, because when you hyperextend the elbow, it pulls the shoulder forward. So soft elbow, soft shoulder, dropping back into this support. Letting your head just rest wherever it lands. And then bringing awareness right back to your center. Breathing right into the front border of the sacrum, our physiological center of gravity. Feeling every spinal segment, just like a spiral staircase, unwind. Be wrung out, one on top of the other. Instead of trying to force or effort through, notice where you may feel a little stuck, and just let your awareness gently rest there. Let your breath act like a wave. Smoothing out any tension, any knots, undoing any internal knots, physical, emotional, psychological. Unwinding the knots around our spine, around our lungs, around our heart. Letting go of anything we don't need. Practicing this practice of unwinding before we fill ourselves up. Feel the edge evolve, and maybe that pillow moves a little further away to accommodate new movement. And then to come out of this side, just straighten the left leg out towards the ground and feel you roll yourself roll right onto your back, moving any props out of the way. Orient yourself in the center of your mat. Feel yourself drop to the earth. And then just as a sense of completion, give the knees a hug to the chest. Give yourself a nice tight hug and rock yourself side to side right along this midline. Feeling a sense of playfulness, a sense of openness, reorienting ourselves to midline after coming out of center, coming back to center. After bumping up against our edges, feeling this playful sense of freedom here. Rock side to side. Give yourself a nice embrace, a tight squeeze. Grateful for your body. Grateful for finding our edges. Grateful for establishing new movements and spinal freedom. And when you feel complete, allow the legs to come to the floor, the arms to open skyward, resting into stillness, giving yourself as much time as you need to integrate this practice. Letting time, letting gravity do the work to help you unwind into freedom. Thank you for your practice. Namaste.